politics. Okay, so in 1804, I was telling you the story of Samuel Chase, this guy who was appointed to the Supreme Court the last year of the George Washington administration. He was a Federalist. He was the opposite party from President Jefferson, who was president from 1808. He was elected in the election of 1800 and replaced by James Madison in the election of 1808, but he served from 1801 to 1809. And so 1804. Samuel Chase is out campaigning. He had been 6 years earlier campaigning for, or 8 years earlier, campaigning for John Adams, the Federalist. 6 years earlier, had supported John Adams in the Alien Sedition Acts so that John Adams could shut down over 30 newspapers, put Benjamin Franklin Bach, Ben Franklin's grandson, in prison for writing an op-ed in which Benjamin Franklin Bach said that President Adams was old, toothless, querulous, and balding. Yes, he got put in prison for saying that. And Samuel Chase was right there supporting him on the Supreme Court, supporting John Adams in doing that. So finally, in 1804, Chase's partisan conduct on the court, he actually was hitting people who came before the court, because back then the Supreme Court didn't decide issues of constitutionality. They did that only twice in the entire time from the founding of the Republic until the Andrew Jackson presidency. So back then, the Supreme Court was like the final court of appeals. So somebody sold somebody 20 chickens and one of them died and the guy sues and it ends up before the Supreme Court. Seriously. And if the guy before the Supreme Court was a Federalist, Samuel Chase gave him a light sentence or ruled on his side. And if he was a Democratic Republican, Samuel Chase gave him worse charges. So in 1804, the House of Representatives impeached Samuel Chase on charges of judicial misconduct. And to this day, Samuel Chase is the only Supreme Court justice to ever have been impeached. Ultimately, Chase remained on the bench. He escaped getting kicked off by the skin of his teeth. You get impeached in the House. You get convicted in the Senate. The Senate failed to muster the two-thirds majority necessary to remove Chase from the Supreme Court. So he served on the bench for 7 more years before dying of a heart attack in 1811. And that's the story of Samuel Chase. But in 1982, Samuel Chase was reincarnated when Ronald Reagan appointed Antonin Scalia to be a justice on the United States Supreme Court. And yesterday, in his dissenting opinion against the majority's decision to strike down 3 out of 4 provisions in Arizona's controversial anti-immigration laws, Justice Antonin Scalia had his Samuel Chase moment. He went unhinged. He publicly ripped President Obama for not enforcing immigration laws. Just a few days after the president had announced that the nation would no longer deport young undocumented immigrants who were brought here as children and are now in school or working or in the military keeping their noses clean. Scalia said, quote, "To say, as this court does, that Arizona contradicts federal law by enforcing applications of the Immigration Act that the president declines to enforce boggles the mind. If securing its territory in this fashion is not within the power of Arizona, we should cease referring to it as a sovereign state." So, in 1803, Justice Samuel Chase criticized the president for trying to expand voter rights and got impeached. In 2012, Justice Antonin Scalia criticized the president for trying to save young undocumented immigrants from deportation, but there's virtually no chance he'll be impeached. But it goes beyond Scalia's comments on immigration. The guy has a history of tarnishing the integrity of the Supreme Court. Scalia is the justice who went on a duck hunting trip back in 2005 with Vice President Dick Cheney, right before deciding to hear a case against Dick Cheney and then ruling in favor of Dick Cheney. Scalia also went on a hunting trip with the dean of the Kansas Law School and then agreed to hear 2 cases in which that very same dean was the lead attorney. According to federal law, any justice must recuse himself from a case, must step back and say, I'm not going to rule on this case when his impartiality might be questioned. It's called the Federal Code of Judicial Conduct. And just like how Justice Samuel Chase refused to recuse himself in cases dealing with political allies, the Federalists, or his political enemies, the Democratic Republicans, ultimately leading to his impeachment, Justice Scalia is guilty of the same impeachable behavior. Chase was also slammed for campaigning on behalf of John Adams. But Scalia today has attended and spoken at political conventions hosted by the Koch brothers, major supporters and founders of today's Republican Party. And Scalia refused to recuse himself from the Citizens United case, despite the Koch brothers' ties to political advocacy groups that benefited immensely from Scalia's decision in Citizens United. So the point of all this, the point is that Justice Antonin Scalia needs to be impeached. Just as Justice Samuel Chase was impeached back in 1803 for demonstrating a similar lack of integrity and impartiality while serving on the high court. If we are truly going to have an independent judiciary with the task of impartially interpreting the Constitution, then there's no longer any room for Justice Scalia on the court. It is time for Congress to do its constitutionally defined job. And it is defined repeatedly in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5. The House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker and other officers and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Article 1, Section 3, Clauses 6 and 7. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. Judgment in cases of impeachments goes on. Anyhow, Article 2, Section 4. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment. And civil officers would include the Justices of the Supreme Court. Shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. This is the one that they went after President Clinton on. Now tell me, Antonin Scalia doing fundraisers for the Koch brothers and then ruling in their favor is not as big a deal? In fact, is not a bigger deal than a president having consensual sex with an adult outside of his marriage and then lying about it? Article 3, Section 1. The judges, both of the Supreme and Inferior Courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
It is time to impeach Antonin Scalia. And I'd add Clarence Thomas to that as well.